That's good.
All right, good to go when you're ready, Diane.
Thank you, Cassie. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here this afternoon. My name is Diane Nickerson. I'm a member of the board of the New York Capital Region Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we welcome you to what is the name of this? Is it Success in the Virtual College Environment. I think that's it. And we're really glad you're here. This is our second virtual event aside from meetings that we have regularly. And we invite you to get to know the Hispanic Chamber. The Chamber provides leadership and promotes economic development of Hispanic businesses throughout the Capital Region. And our mission, therefore, is to provide professional development, support business planning and networking. We strengthen relationships among Hispanic professionals and organizations, businesses, and connect with Hispanic entrepreneurs and the community at large. The Chamber recognizes the achievement of Hispanic individuals and businesses that have a positive influence on our community. And in particular, maybe because of the makeup of the members of the board, we're particularly interested in education in our region. And therefore, we have developed a scholarship fund. We have an annual fundraiser called Fiesta. This is our third annual. We're planning for October, so we call it Fiesta 3. And we raise funds for the scholarship. At this time, we have scholarships through Hudson Valley Community College, but we're looking to expand that through other higher education institutions in the region. We welcome you. We hope you get to know us. We hope you consider membership either now as your students are emerging from studenthood to professional life. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Ladan Alamar, who is a longstanding member of the Chamber, the board, the leadership of the Chamber, and of our community as well. Ladan.
Thank you, Diane. It is a pleasure to introduce Dr. Cassandra Andrusz-Ho Ching, academic advisor and professor in Latin American, Caribbean, and U.S. Latino Study Department. Dr. Andrews.
Thanks, Ladan, much appreciated. So this is definitely a collaborative discussion we'll be having today. I want to introduce my co-host, Diana Valdez, also another academic advisor at the University at Albany. But in addition to some student leaders, Kai Morrell-Washington, Lindsay Espiat, and Alana Clark. As Ladan said, I'm an academic advisor as well. I teach in the Latino Studies department. Kai, Lindsay, and Alana have all been past students of mine. And just so we can know a little bit more about you all as a group, Kai, Lindsay, and Alana, can you just share your concentration at UAlbany, your year, and just your current plans, please? We'll start with Kai, and then Lindsay and Alana, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Kai Morrell-Washington. I'm currently a grad student at UAlbany, but as an undergrad, I had a major in English with a double minor in Latin American, Caribbean, and U.S. Latino Studies, as well as Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies. Sorry, that is such a mouthful. I'm a grad student now, as I said, and I'm in the master's program for Latin American, Caribbean, and U.S. Latino Studies, and I also work full-time at the Department of Labor in the Youth and Young Adult Programming Development Unit.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Lindsay, and I graduated this year. I majored in globalization, and I minored in Latin American Caribbean Studies. I'm currently looking for a full-time job in San Francisco, hopefully in the nonprofit space.
Hello, my name is Alana Clark. I just graduated from UAlbany in May. I studied anthropology with a minor in Lex, and I am currently taking time off between school, undergrad and grad school, and that's what I'm up to right now.
Thank you so much for being here, everybody. So college presents, amazing opportunities, but often not equally for students. So our identities, comprised of race, gender, class, ability, citizenship status, among others, really impact how people, see us, interact with us, set expectations for us, and thus how students experience college and a contributing factor in graduation. So the goal of this PowerPoint today is to offer insight to all students on being successful in college, but with a focus on Latino, Latina, Latinx students, and of course, virtual learning under COVID-19. Now, a key strategy for success in college is a support network and mentors who can be community members, instructors, peers, family members, friends, and even the people right here in this very Zoom room today. So Diana, if you can take us to the next slide. Being here together in this Zoom right now means that, we support students or we're interested in student success. So we are in solidarity with each other, meaning that we are unified in agreement of a specific feeling or action, such as supporting youth and cultivating community. And, in our capitalist, individualistic culture, we can easily forget that we need others and that through cooperation, through coming together, we can extend not only our personal success, but also, in relation our community's success. So we've met a few people already, but for those of you who haven't spoken yet, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself. So I see Carlos and then Laudlina, and then I'll kind of scoot my screen over and see who's next. But Carlos, if you could take it away, just share your name, where you're from, what you're looking to do, current plans, that would be great.
My name is Carlos Maldonado. Where I currently live is Albany, New York, but I live in Schenectady right now at the moment. This is my second semester at Hudson Valley. My major is criminal justice. I'm trying to get my associate's degree. I'm still debating if I want to get my associate's or bachelor's, but if I stick with my associates, I want to become a state trooper. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking into that. A little thing about myself. I like the college. It's very good. I learned a lot of new things about it. Nothing really new about me. I'm just trying to get my associates and bachelors at the moment. So
that sounds great. Thank you for sharing. And can I ask how you got passionate about criminal justice?
I'm very passionate. I always been, when I was a little kid, I always wanted to become a police officer because I always thought it was like the big dogs. In my point of view, as a kid, they were the big dogs. I always wanted to be one of those, and it was very passionate. I really like doing it. I like to solve crimes. I like talking about it a lot. Sometimes I get talked about it way too much for some people's comfort, but that's my favorite thing to do. I loved it when I was a little kid. I loved what they did, so that's what I always wanted to do.
Oh, thanks, Carlos. All right, I will go to Ladlina and then Naelis. Oh, you're muted, Laude.
I'm on the board of the Hispanic Chamber, and I also own an art gallery. But I thought I would share with you, since you were talking about what you studied recently or you're studying. When I was in undergraduate school, my majors were English literature, philosophy, and economics. And then I did a master's in Renaissance and British literature. Then I studied at UAlbany rhetoric and composition.
Thanks,
so, that's rather a big amount of things to pull together and leading me to where I am.
Thank you. All right, we'll go over to Janisia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes, Janicia.
Janicia.
Hi, my name is Janicia Hashisha, pronoun she, her, hers. I go to the University at Albany. I'm a freshman majoring in computer science on a pre-law track. And I'm very passionate in activism and social justice. So I'm actually thinking of changing my major to political science, but let's talk.
Awesome, love it, thank you. And Binghamton 82. Down in
That's me, that's Vicente Alfonso. I'm also on the board of the Hispanic Chamber. I'm the vice president currently. I always have been involved with youth in various ways. One, I was a youth gang counselor many years ago. I also started out with a 2-year degree at Corning Community College. And I went to Richmond College with an emphasis on education and Black history. And from there, I went to SUNY Binghamton. That's why you have Binghamton 82, which is where I got my master's degree, again, in labor. From there, I worked as the director of minority and women business enterprises for SUNY at the SUNY Central Administration Building.
All right, thanks Vincente, I appreciate it.
No problem.
So we have a lot of amazing people in this Zoom room today. If you heard anybody say any roles or positions they carry that are of interest to you, it's always a great idea to write down their name and perhaps get in contact with them later. So on to the next slide, please. Setting the stage for today, what I'll be talking about is how the university is a microcosm or a tiny snapshot of our larger society. And, you know, to understand what's happening on college campuses, it's good to look at our current socio-political context and how that all trickles down to affect students' educational experience.
Cassie, I think we missed someone.
Oh, let me see.
Elise, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. My name is Najalise. I'm currently a freshman at UA. I'm studying political science on a pre-law track. I decided on that because I've always been really passionate about politics. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a cop, but realized that wasn't really the track for me. So in high school, I got involved in local campaigns and a leadership program that actually, we were here at UA for our leadership seminars for the past 2 years.
Very cool. Are you in your dorm right now?
I am.
Okay, so you're like an on-campus learner. I love it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so just the overview of today, right? So we're going to be talking about, you know, both racism and racial empowerment on campus. And then we're going to shift to Diana, who will get into those success strategies, you know, from finances to personal pressures, and this little thing called COVID-19, right? And how it's impacted learning. And at the end, we hope to have some time for general Q&A and get everybody sort of talking organically. Yeah, so next slide. So as I mentioned, you know, higher education, college, university, you know, it's born out of and intertwined with other social institutions, our political system, economy, healthcare, among others, which are imperfect, right? Steeped in racism, sexism, classism, among other faults. So like our society, there are these struggles on campus with systemic injustice, but also like society, campuses are filled with resistance and community building and social justice initiatives to bring about change. And I'm making a point to share this because I think it would be a disservice to you as students to tell you that your college experience will be like everyone else's. You know, there's no one standard college experience. You know, your individual identities combined with the communities from which you are all a part really both influence your academic journey. You know, how you are perceived by others, but also how you navigate people and experiences. I know some of our students today, you know, Alana, Lindsay, and Kai, if any of you want to share maybe some struggles that you've had on campus, maybe to help perhaps prepare other students as they move through their years?
I'll share.
Thank you.
So I did struggle to fit in a little bit because while UAlbany is very like diverse, I noticed that can be divided into groups very easily. And I understand why, because sometimes it can be uncomfortable if people don't understand your perspective. Like I lived with people who were from like Connecticut and they're white, and one told me like, oh, I can't believe I'm standing next to an Egyptian and a black girl, and I stood up and I was like, okay, I'm gone. Like this is too much. Like you don't even realize, like, I don't know. But I'm not Egyptian. And then, you know, I wasn't in EOP, my grades were too high. But financially I applied and ethnically as well. And then that like had me miss out on being like with Dominican folks. I'm also Dominican, but I'm also half Dominican, so I may not look a certain way. And so I had to be like, they told me like, oh, speak Spanish to like prove that you're Dominican. I'm like, it doesn't have to come like to this. And I lived in DR part of my life. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. So it's kind of hard to fit into like one group. So you really have to find your own niche. And as for like support systems, I definitely had like, oddly enough, my Buddhism professor was like always there for me. I can come to his office hours whenever. So you always find your random like adult folks, and then you have like your friends like all scattered here and there, different grades and everything. So if it's kind of hard to fit into this like bigger mold because of like you have to meet certain standards, like don't be discouraged. Like that happens, but you always find your people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lindsay. Kai or Alana, did you guys want to share about, you know, a struggle you met on campus?
Sorry.
I'd like to share. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kai. You can go first.
Alana, if you want to go, feel free, and then we can hit Kai up later.
Okay. So I really struggled initially during my university career with mental health, and it really caused my grades to suffer. And I didn't really initially build much community around myself. So I found, especially towards later in my academic career, I found a lot of help through CAPS, which is the Counseling and Psychological Services. And I joined a COVID-19 COVID support group, which was really helpful for me. And I also joined organizations on campus, and I also reached out to my professors more and sort of built a relationship with them, which I felt was really helpful, especially in anthropology and the LAX departments. I felt very held by the.
Thanks, Alana. I think for time, Kai, we're gonna scoot on, but I'll definitely come to you first for our next section. So Diana, if you could go to the next slide, that would be great. So I know Alana, I was actually just mentioning some of the cultural studies classes that she was in the LAX department. So an amazing resource that colleges offer are these cultural studies departments, you know, Indigenous studies, Asian studies, Latin American studies, US Latino, Black, African American studies, where the perspective of race, ethnicity, language, and other identifiers is centralized in the class and the learning process. Diverse and underrepresented voices really are the primary sources of knowledge in these spaces. And Kai, if you want to start with this one, can you share maybe how being a part of the LAX department has, you know, led to feelings of empowerment or pride or belonging, you know, the importance of cultural studies classes for you?
Yes, so I initially started off as an English and political science major with a minor in business. I quickly realized those classes weren't for me. And so the second semester of my freshman year in the spring, I took LAX 100, and Dr. Cass was my instructor for the class, and she was literally great. She is the reason why I became a LAX minor. I can call on Dr. Cass for anything, letters of recommendation, community service, anything. We have kept in touch from that one class 4 years later. besides Dr. Cass, I have other great resources in the LACS department. I feel like I know everyone there. I feel like if I haven't taken a class with them, I worked with them through some kind of project, or I've consulted them for advice. I was in Fuerza Latina. I'm not sure if you guys know what that is yet, but I was the 2019 National Latino Collegiate Conference, which is NLCC, the big conference we hold every year. I was the coordinator for that. I was also the programming coordinator last year. As you see, I have on Greek letters. I'm also in a sorority. I'm in the first Black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I was educated through the Pi Kappa chapter on the campus of UAlbany. And as everyone has kind of echoed, like, I would definitely say community is very important. I feel like a lot of times when people come to college, they don't think that Albany is their community. They feel like their community is wherever you're from, and it's not. If you're going to be here for 4 years, working here, going to school here, Albany is your community. So you should definitely, you know, tap in and get in touch with the people that are in this community that are here for you, because there are people that are here for you, even when you feel like all odds are against you.
Yeah, thank you, Kai. That was so eloquently put, and I love that. Something I didn't mention yet that you brought up is that oftentimes cultural studies departments will be a little smaller and have that more personalized and family-like atmosphere. Often in college, you know, departments can be very competitive and cutthroat, but I know just from the LACS department at UAlbany, even the Africana Studies department there's this, again, sense of cooperation, not competition, which can be very good for mental health, very good for belonging and, you know, your success moving forward as a student. Also, so the community organizations and programs, organizations in general on campus, both are amazing resources for you all as students. We come to college, right, with this expectation we're going to get a lot of academic knowledge, but organizations really provide you with those life skills that will make you competitive in the job market later on when you go to apply for jobs. You know, you're learning in organizations how to lead, but also how to follow. Both are important. You're learning how to navigate systems and hierarchies, and you're also learning on, you know, taking on roles, completing tasks, balancing, you know, work and organization or work and life skills, and how to communicate. And all of those are really prioritized by employers when you go in for those interviews. It will really set you apart. So if you haven't, you know, researched organizations yet, whether they're on campus or in the community, you know, definitely look to do something. Even join the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. They have so many, you know, different events and activities that students can be involved with throughout the year. The last thing I'll mention is just mentors. Mentors can be everyone and anyone. Oftentimes it's seen as someone who's older than you, but I see, you know, Kai, Lindsay, and Alana, who are younger than me, as mentors for me to improve my teaching and to improve my communication with students. So anyone can be a mentor. It can be formal, it can be informal. You know, that's what you decide with this person moving forward, but you should always have one or two at your side. They help you expand your knowledge, your networking, your resources, and sometimes they're there if you need to vent or if you need to cry. I've done both with mine. So if anyone's interested in needing a mentor, I'm always here and open for that. So I'm going to pass it over to Diana. She's going to talk a little bit more about some success strategies in higher ed.
Okay, so hi guys. So I'm just listening to your stories that really, I feel like I resonated with a lot that you guys have said, especially Lindsay. There's always this need to always explain to people, like people always ask us like, okay, so speak Spanish. And it's like, why are you putting me on the spot to do so? And it's like, some people don't realize that, you know, you can be of a different ethnicity, but you also have to understand that there's people who look differently than one another. We don't all look the same, and we all come from different parts. And I'm also Dominican as well. So that's also like, I always get confused regarding like my ethnicity, especially when I went away to college, because I came from an urban area, New York City, right in the Bronx, New York. And so, you know, coming from the Bronx, you know, you see so many people from different ethnicities, different cultures, that you think everywhere is just like that. But little do you know that when you do go away to school and you go to a predominantly white area or school, there are some people that maybe have never met a Dominican person, or maybe don't know that there are so many different like Latin countries and things like that. So it's good to educate. I would also say that it's also good to experience that, of coming in contact with people who let's say, are ignorant, because that's your way to even educate, but then that's also a realization for yourself to know that, hey, there are people that aren't aware. So I'll get started by saying first generation. So we hear that a lot, first generation students, where both parents or guardians didn't attend college, didn't attain their bachelor's degree. So you may be that first person in your family to go away to school or begin college and things like that, and kind of lead that pathway. It's exciting, but it's also stressful at the same time, because you almost feel that pressure on top of you to kind of lead and guide, with maybe your parents having that education or guidance for you, and if they don't have that guidance for you, kind of leading that path on your own. So even when it comes to filling out your own FAFSA, applying for scholarships, knowing what to do here, what to do there, and you really don't have anyone to kind of pave the way. So that was my experience. But I would say with building a support system is, it's important for you to connect with people who are also similar to you, especially if you're going away to school. The reason why I say this is because you never want to lose your identity when you are going away to school. You want to make sure that when you are going away to school, that you have people that you can go to that either speak the same language, share the same values as you, but don't be afraid to take a step outside of your comfort zone as well. I had a choice between, I went to Erie Community College in Buffalo, and then I transferred 6 hours up north, 30 minutes away from Canada. And the reason why I chose to go to Potsdam is because I had the option between Potsdam and New Paltz. For me, I felt that if I would have went to New Paltz, I would have seen my friends from high school, and I was done with them. I didn't want to see them anymore, because I wanted to start off fresh, but I also didn't want to feel forced to choose between my own social groups just because I'm Hispanic / Latina. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to meet people who were different than I am, but also be with those who are similar to me. So going to Potsdam, I built relationships with people who were different than me, whether they were white, Asian, Middle Eastern, and things like that, just because I wanted to diversify myself and getting to know people from different cultures, and them getting to know me as well. Those who had those ignorant comments to say, peace out. It sucks to suck, but you guys are going to be left thinking like that, and that's not my problem. I can educate you only if you want to be educated. Okay, so definitely creating that familyhood and that friendship with people. I've gone hiking, kayaking, and things like that, things that I would have never done if I feel like if I would have stayed within my own circle. So it was good for me to do that. Seeking out resources, right? When you are on campus, or even if you are remotely learning online, it's important for you guys to seek out resources out there for you. Okay, no one's going to sit there and tell you, oh, come here, come there, come there. You have, like, not that you have to find it for yourself, but you kind of do. And services that I mean are like tutoring center, advisement services, career center, multicultural resource center, student gender and equality center. So there's so many, but there's representation for all students. And I always say, even with being an academic advisor, I'm working for you. I am here for you. And those offices are seeking to help you out, and basically creating that open door and that comfort in order for you to come in and speak. And also feel comfortable to just come in. But using these resources, one, you don't necessarily have to use them right away, but it's good to familiarize yourself with these resources on campus, because the goal that, I always tell students, the goal to college is to eventually graduate and get a job, right? So yes, you are going away, you are learning to be independent, but you are also trying to find ways to make connections, make a name out of yourself, and get a job hopefully after college, so that when you do graduate, you know how they say in job applications, you need 3 years of experience? Well, that 3 years of experience, you're most likely going to get it in college by getting involved, doing internships, getting your name out there. So even if you're not using these resources, go in, introduce yourself, get to know the staff, and let them know your name, so that whenever you do come in, oh yes, it's Diana, she's coming back. Have you heard about Diana? You know what I'm saying? So definitely go into those offices and put yourself out there. Because that's a great way to get your name out there, and then just start creating connections, networking, and things like that. But with finances, okay, so For me, my mom never, she doesn't even know how much I owe in loans, which is not bad. Everything I did it for myself. And I am proud of that. I learned how to fill out my own FAFSA, my own TAP, that now I am able to pass that knowledge on to others who don't know or come from high schools that probably don't even educate the students on FAFSA. I had a student today, and I told her I was going to share this, but she educates her cousins on how to fill out a FAFSA. And I asked her, like, doesn't the high school already do that for you? And she said they don't. And that's because the school automatically assumes that since everyone is at median income or high income, that they're able to afford college, but they don't shed light and educate those who possibly can't afford, like their families cannot. So she's the person that her cousins or her siblings rely on to explain to them what FAFSA is and how you can afford college in many ways. But I feel like I was going to touch upon just family and culture. For me, coming from my background, I don't know if you can relate with me on this, Lindsay, but I always felt, being first generation, that there was this expectation of me having to get a certain job or having to provide almost support to my family, whether it was back at home in DR or back down in the city. And it's like, for me, I always felt like I needed to do what made me happy when it came to my major. And I always felt this pressure to having to be a doctor, be this, but I knew that I was never going to be happy in that. And I knew that it's because, I guess, and it's just, education is very highly valued. But I also understand the fear of not wanting to be in poverty. And so being the first generation, you almost have that pressure. So when I graduated and got a job, I literally felt like my ancestors on me. I felt so proud just because none of my family went to college. So that was huge on me. And that's an accomplishment that my mother can speak of. But yeah, I definitely wanted to touch upon that. I don't know if I hit my 7-minute mark, but okay. I just, it's be proud of where you come from, and don't be afraid of educating others as to who you are, and also connecting with others as well. I feel like there's, like, in these times, we need to come together most of the time. And if anyone has like any experiences that they want to talk about, whether it comes from, family pressures, expectations, or anything like that, it's something that I thought I was the only one until I started having honest conversations with people about, yeah, my family expects the same thing too, or they're like that as well. So if anyone wants to share anything, I'd be happy, because I'm not the only one, right? No, okay. But okay, so we are gonna move on to the next slide. So going virtually online. We've never done this before, guys. COVID, right? Such a sad time, such a weird time where everything has gone online, right? Great time for you to invest. I invested in Zoom. Sorry, this is so out of context, but I invested in Zoom, and it was a good, yeah. So it was pretty good. So anyways, going in COVID, you guys are, if you're a freshman, it is probably you're the first one to kind of come into this program of going online and using this platform where all schools have gone online, which is pretty weird. And hopefully for you guys who are incoming freshmen, I'm sorry that you probably missed out on prom. I know that was probably huge that you wanted to do, but formats that you guys have probably familiarized yourself with is asynchronous, synchronous, and hybrid classes, right? Asynchronous, you can complete your classes anytime during the week. Synchronous, set time during the week. Hybrid, you come in for a certain amount of time for the class and then do online for the other portion. So I don't know how many of you have gotten adjusted to this, but I would say that, for those of you who are having issues, there are ways to kind of cope with those things, whether that's time management, getting adjusted. I advise my students to get 2 screens, okay? 2 screens so that you can do your work, because I know how easily you can get distracted with just having different web browsers on. But because the rise of online learning, the pros to this is that veterans can most likely, study online, get their degree online, but even stay-at-home parents can do that as well, which is amazing. So now that a lot of schools are creating that online classes and those online courses, now it's going to create even more possibilities for you to get your degree. The pros as well is that you can save money if you stay at home. If you're on campus, cool, good. But the cons is that you're not getting the college experience that everyone really wants, and that's independency, going away, moving away from your home and actually figuring out who you are. So for you to be able to, that for me, I'm huge on independency, and I feel like in order for you to get to know who you really are, going away, you really develop independency by coming and going as you please. I always tell students this all the time, but there are moments where you're going to ask yourself, who am I? What am I doing? Is what I'm doing enough? And you'll get those, questions. And that's why I also recommend students to use the CAPS, counseling psychological services, just because they'll be able to work out throughout those thoughts, because sometimes those thoughts can lead to depression and you don't even realize that. But you may get so worked up, but it's so good to use these services again, because your mental health is super important more than anything else. So make sure you take care of that and know that you are not alone, okay? But since not a lot of people can adapt to online learning, it's important to create ways as to how can we create ways to make it easy for you to access. So your first year may be difficult, but I promise you it'll get easier as time goes on, and you'll figure out you'll figure out what works and what doesn't work as well. So talking to other students as well will also help you see the ways that they are getting along with those classes versus not. Challenges with this online COVID stuff is if you have no reliable internet, right? Or access to technology, which will be a struggle to participate in like digital learning. So where we can see this at is there's a gap across the country between income brackets, because there's some people that can afford to have those let's say if you, okay, sorry, let me backtrack. Let's say if you are of low income and you can't afford to have internet service, or you don't have the technology like a laptop, now you are kind of at a disadvantage because you can't attend class. So it's good to shed light on that and see where there's a possible way to find funding for these students to be able to do so. So I had a student, same issue. She's on campus, Mac, they're always updating their software, always creating an iPhone 12. But I recommended her to go to the library, rent out a laptop, or a Dell in order for her to get her classwork done. So where this may go sour is, if you don't have the technology available. So time management is key, and you are the teacher and the student. So as you are doing your online classes, you'll find yourself trying to teach yourself the material while also learning it as well. So I'm excited to see other inputs from students that I get, just in regards to COVID and how they prefer their classes. So some students learn better in person, maybe some adapt well to online, but if you ever have any issues, ITS is your best friend. So if you have any issues with your laptop, please contact your institution's ITS and they will most likely help you out.
Yeah, Diana, let's open it up to students really quick. Did anyone have any questions about online learning? Anything that Diana and I missed as far as the pros or cons? Because we're all doing it right now.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
Okay, so very quickly, I just wanted to say, like, in reference to COVID and everything going on for people that are disadvantaged and don't have maybe the required equipment, you can go to CARES Act and you can like fill out a form to receive money from CARES Act. They will give you money. I received money at the beginning of COVID from the emergency fund. They gave me like $1,200. I just applied for CARES Act to get like extra funding. And also for those that don't have like parents who can contribute, like my mom was not able to contribute. If you're denied from a Parent Plus loan, you automatically get $4,000 extra. So yeah.
Yes, on your unsubsidized. So, oh, sorry, I was gonna add on. Yeah, so if you are denied, and thank you for the CARES Act. I'm definitely gonna recommend that to that one student who's having laptop issues. But yeah, if you are trying to take out a Parent Plus loan, that's all based on your parents' credit. If they have bad credit and they are denied, they increase your unsubsidized loan up 4,000, which can help. So yeah, thank you.
And Janicia, Carlos, and Nialise, how is online learning going for you all?
So for me, most of my classes are virtual. I have one class that's asynchronous, which is kind of difficult because you literally never see the professor. I get an email every 2 weeks, and it's just reading and tests, so that's kind of difficult. But my one in-person class is great, and it's like small, so it's like a community.
All right. And Carlos, what about you? How's it going?
Excuse me. It's going good. It was hard in the beginning. The very second semester of my college, it was very hard. I had to get used to it. But now, my third semester going into college, it's a little simpler. I know what to do now. It's just here and there you gotta find the teachers hide the assignments here and there, but I can find them. So everything's pretty good. All my classes are remote, virtual. They're all through the thing, so it's pretty easy when you get used to it. But.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. And Nialise, what about you? How's it going?
It's not too bad. I actually had to adjust more to the synchronous classes and the asynchronous classes because the way we wrapped up our senior year in high school was teachers just sent you a bunch of assignments and was just like, finish certain assignments by a certain date, and in the end have it all done by graduation, whenever that was. And so having to actually attend Zoom at a certain time was a little bit of a change, and teaching yourself time management was also a big part of getting adjusted because nobody teaches you that in high school. Unless you teach yourself, nobody teaches you that. So.
Yep. Yeah, and what I'm hearing from all of you is, you know, when you meet change, you have to adapt and you have to flex, which is, I think, an undervalued skill. So props to you on all of you on that. Diana, let's go on to some scholarship stuff. And just for timing purposes, if you want to kind of give like a general overview, let's try that.
Yeah, so basically, I love what Kai said about just the CARES Act. There's scholarships for everything. There's many ways to get, to receive money. So resources that we have just in general is scholarships.com, Hispanic Scholarship Fund, and Best Colleges. So if you guys want these links, we'll drop our emails at the end, so we can definitely send you that. But there's literally a scholarship. Oh my goodness, that's my cat. There's literally a scholarship for anything. So I've seen scholarships. I was looking at it today, but it's like 5,000 if you are from an underrepresented population, African American or Asian or Hispanic, where you're eligible to receive the scholarship. You just need to write an essay, or if you are going into graduate school. So there's scholarships for before you begin your college career to even continue it as well. So even if you are in a specific major as well, they do specify and say if you are a minority and you are, in the chemistry field, here's a scholarship. And it's so amazing. And some students think that they will not receive the scholarship, but chances are is that you will. So you just have to apply. So we can definitely keep you more informed on that. But next slide.
Yeah, thanks, Diana. So another thing that's kind of taboo when students are talking about college is failure. J.K. Rowling says that failure is so important. We speak about success all the time. It is the ability to use failure that often leads to greater success. So failure is something that you and I, we will all experience in college. It can be embarrassing. It can make us feel vulnerable or not good enough or like we don't belong. However, it happens to all of us. So it's actually something that unites us. And, J.K. Rowling here is saying that we need to use it, right? So I'm interested if any of the students want to share, how do you use failure? What has failure taught you or shown you or changed in your life that might have surprised you? Yeah, Carlos.
I got a story. My very first semester, going to my first class and doing as a freshman going to college. I wasn't very expecting because in high school, to be honest and everything, I was that type of kid in high school that thought he got it, thought he had it, had it in his hands and stuff like that. Always thought his brain was always thought I was the smartest one. And so going to the first semester, I didn't do so well. Actually, I did really, really bad. I wasn't paying attention to school, to the teachers or anything. It was sad to say. It was embarrassing to tell people. For my first semester, I had a bad GPA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got so depressed, devastated and stuff because me being the first generation, me being the first kid to go into college, I had a lot on my back. I had a lot of proof and stuff like that. So I put myself into a mentality that I was like, all right, from now on, I want nothing but 3.0 or 4.0 in your semesters.
Mm-hmm.
So my second semester going in, mind you, this first semester, I thought I wasn't going to go back to college. They took my financial away. I had to pay, and couldn't afford it. So I thought I was basically done for college. I thought I was never going to go back. But for some way, I pulled it through. There was many family issues, that's why. And I pulled through. And my second semester, I was on top of my game. I literally went into a dark room. I pushed a lot of people away just to focus. And me being proud to say that I did really good. I had, I believe, 3 A's and 1 B, and I got a 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a 3 point something. I don't know where it was, but I was very shocked. And for a kid to do it on his own, I did it on my own. And I was like, wow, that proved me a lot. Showed me a lot that what I could do.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that story. That's a really good story. I really appreciate it. And yeah, exactly what you're saying, right? Failure can be a teacher and, show us what we can do better. It kind of makes you pause and reevaluate. And though failure can be really hard and really frustrating, it kind of reforms our thinking, right? So we can grow. And really what is important, Carlos, is exactly what you did. It's not the failure itself, but it's how you push through it. You change, you bounce back, and use it as a stepping stone on that pathway to success. So, we have to accept failure, be ready for it, don't fear it, but see it as part of that success process. Another taboo experience oftentimes with students is asking for help, because again, it might equate to, not knowing something, which is a vulnerable place. But again, we all need help and we all have questions. So Diana's gonna share an awesome quote about asking for help.
Yes.
So
it is, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It shows you how, whoa, I'm messing this up. It shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something and to learn something new. So this is super, super powerful. In my previous job, I was always, I guess, congratulated for always asking questions. And why not? I never saw the issue with that. But it is important to ask questions because you don't know everything. And it's okay to not know everything. And you learn so much more when you do ask questions as well. So I would also, just to piggyback on this quote as well, is the fact that even when someone is telling a story, I never act as if I know what they're talking about. Because if I don't know, this is a good opportunity for you to explain to me, one, what you're talking about, and two, your perspective. So I do want to ask you guys, I do want to ask one student what kind of questions should students be asking when coming into college? If anyone wants to unmute themselves and just go for it.
I would say the question that you should ask yourself maybe after your first either couple weeks or first semester of classes is, do I really like this major? Or is this something that I chose in high school and reading about?
Yes. Okay. And possibly the reason for that is why, because, and some students, I feel like coming in, you're asked all the time, what's your major? What's your major? Or even your parents ask you, what's your major? And you're almost pressured to feel like I have to answer this. And if I don't know, I'm just going to be looked at as, So I always tell students, if you have an idea of what you want to do, great. Let's go for it. Let's put you in the class. Let's dip into it. But if you don't know, that's okay, because I'd rather a student come in undecided instead of declaring biology, and 3 years later you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, you just took bio classes throughout your whole 3 years, and now we have to backtrack. So that's a great question to ask. Is this what I want to do? So
yeah, let's do like 2 more questions from students. What are good questions to ask yourself or to ask other people, you know, as you're navigating college? And Alana, I see your microphone going off, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's really important to ask your peers that you admire what they're doing to be successful. I found it really, really helpful to reach out to my friends that I knew maybe had better GPAs than I did or were better at managing their time. What were they doing so that I could sort of learn from them?
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much.
And to piggyback off of Kai, I think asking yourself, like, do I feel good, like, learning these things? So I feel empowered. So with my globalization major, I was learning one type of history where POC were looked at as like the victim. And it's just like, oh, sorry, we did this to you, like kind of like that, especially my like US foreign policy classes. And then I took the same kind of class. It was US Latinos, learning about the same history. I think it was that class, but learning about the same history. And then it was just, the perspective was completely different. It was like empowering. We weren't victims, we were survivors. We, you know, it's just talking about our own successes. It was just so empowering. And then that disempowering class was like a cis white male professor, cis white students, and then cis white male, like people that we're learning about. And then in my Latinx classes, it's just like people that look like me or like my family, like I'm learning about them and like their success stories. It's just so empowering and like really motivates me to like ask questions, like do my assignments and everything. So just having that one area that you're really passionate about really helps with getting through like this whole college process.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Those are great questions. All right, so moving on. So transitioning into college can be crazy under normal circumstances, but especially under a pandemic, right? We're all in it. So it's important to reflect on the strengths and skills you all already have, because you are all in college in this moment. So I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on all of those, because you will continue to meet challenges, whether it's a tough class, not enough time to, you know, finish an assignment, feeling isolated, a bad professor, the list goes on. So I want you guys all to think of, you know, what are you currently doing that does make you successful? Like, what are you doing right that makes you feel good and contributes to your success? And as Diana said, feel free to unmute your microphones. Janisha, have class in a few minutes. Yes, thanks for letting us know. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, bye.
All right, so what are you guys doing that makes you successful currently?
Okay, so one thing that I would say, well, not really currently at the moment, but over the summer, I didn't plan on going back to grad school. It was kind of like I woke up one day and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to school. I originally wanted to take a gap year and I wanted to work, but I still needed to work because I had bills to pay. So over the summer, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna feel sorry for myself. I'm gonna reach out to one of my mentors who actually works in the Albany community. She's one of my sorority sisters, and she has set up like a couple of mock interviews, like just sharpening on my interview skills and stuff like that with other people who are professionals in the Capital District region. And one of the people said, well, if you don't hear back from any of the jobs you applied to, let me know in a week. And that is how I got to the Department of Labor. So I would definitely say, thank you. I would definitely say make connections with people. If you guys want my email, you can definitely have it. Make connections with people in the community. I saw back a few slides ago other organizations in the community that aren't necessarily affiliated with UAlbany. And Centro Civico, I'm not actually in it, but every year for their Dominican Independence Day party, I'm there. I help set up. I know Amber very well. I've done work with her, other community service work through her Catholic Charities and Mercy House. Like, I keep in touch with them, and I do plan on joining. Actually, I'm actually also interested in the Hispanic commerce. Like, I'm interested in everything. I just love being a resource to the community and working within my community, especially because I feel like I see the way we are disadvantaged and how our other maybe like Caucasian counterparts, like it's not as hard for them. I'm a first generation college student. Both of my parents are Hispanic. My mom's Brazilian, my dad's Honduran. I'm from the Bronx. So like, I understood, like I came from the struggle. So I knew when I came to college, I wanted to make the most out of my 4 years. I joined a sorority. I did everything, every opportunity. I made myself, I guess you would say, eligible to do it. Like, even if I wasn't eligible, I was going to make myself eligible. I was going to take the steps required in order to do whatever I needed to do. So I would just say, stay determined.
Yes. Oh, is that drive?
I know. I'm glad we're recording this because we can play this for other students later. Be like,
I did want to ask the students, any of you guys that want to participate, but what about, has there been any mental accomplishments as well? I think that's not really spoken about, but are there things that maybe you were in before that now you feel a little bit more relieved that, is there anything like that? Any accomplishments for your mental health?
One of my mental accomplishments is that I could get over it. Like, you got that mindset that you just want to quit and quit and quit. And my working on that mindset, I had to like push through. And that's one of the big mental things I accomplished, is like to get over that negative thought and be like, you know what, I got to put myself in that type of, I'm not going to stop, and nobody's not going to stop me from stopping, and I'm going to go through it. And even how hard it is, I'm going to get through that wall. So that's one of the big mental accomplishments.
That perseverance, right? Definitely. Diana, can you click the next button to get that list up there?
Gotcha.
So this is just a list of, past responses from students. A lot of you have already mentioned these like throughout our talk, but it's always, change is constant, and being able to adapt that change and ask yourself, do I still like this major? Is this still for me? How am I feeling? We can forget to do that because our society is so fast paced, and our higher education system is like, okay, you're here, let's spit you out in 4 years or 2 years if you're going to a community college, and it can be a little overwhelming. So to take that mental moment to pause, to slow things down, ask those deep questions really can benefit you in the long term. And let's go on to our next slide. So we wanted to leave with an empowering quote. This is by the president and the CEO of the Hispanic Heritage Foundation, Antonio Tijerino. Diana, do you want to read it for us?
Yes. So you are not lucky to be here. The world needs your perspective. They are lucky to have you.
Yes. So I wanted to leave that with all of you today. Thank you so much for your time. And I'd like to just leave the last 10 minutes. If anyone has any questions or would like to share another story or a comment on any of the slides today, let's really use this time to continue building community and getting to know each other better.
I just want to say that I have a good resource for new grads. It's called Project Basta, like stop in Spanish. And it helps first gen students and to find like jobs. So like they're helping me like with my cover letters, with my resumes. They have connections with a lot of jobs, especially within New York City, but they know I'm applying to SF, so they're still helping me. And like, it's just like a whole nother network to join. So I think that's really great if you guys know anyone.
Can you jot that down in the chat, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Nialise and Carlos, was there anything else you were looking to get out of this presentation today that we might have missed or haven't covered yet that could be beneficial for you?
I had a question. So I know that like back home in the work that I did, I definitely know the importance of networking, and especially in the field that I want to go into, that's crucial for success. But it's a lot different now because of COVID and everything, and there's a lot less resources or like events going on where you can do networking. So I guess my question is, how can we do that now? Like what changes have been made for it to still be able to happen?
You're already taking the first step with this Zoom meeting. Zoom meetings are the new conference space. Even at UAlbany, like all of our career fairs are going online to this Zoom platform. So whether it's looking at your emails or going on to Eventbrite or checking out any kind of Google search of like Googling what's happening in your area, stay on top of like Facebook. I know Facebook is like the older social media, but Facebook events are really a plethora of resources on like who's doing what when. Typically because the people using Facebook are older, they might be the directors or assistant directors of departments, where on like Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat, you might have the younger generations who are attending. So I guess you can come at it from both angles, but staying on top of social media and making sure you're getting those Zoom links would be my first recommendation for you. But if anyone else has any other ideas on how to stay connected, feel free to add.
I would just say, well, as Dr. Cass said, you're taking the first step right now by being on the Zoom call. So the people you would like to reach out with, or people that said things that are interesting, I would definitely say, email them, say, hi, I was on this Zoom call, I like what you said, like maybe, I would like to talk more about whatever this interest is. And I would say just definitely go for it. Never be afraid to reach out to people. You should always want to, step outside of your comfort zone and talk to people, even though sometimes it's very like, it makes you anxious. Definitely step out and just talk to people, because you never know who knows people, and it's really about who you know, honestly.
Yes.
And go ahead, Diana.
To piggyback on that, I think sometimes we doubt ourselves, especially when we reach out to someone, because we're afraid of that no, that failure quote, right? We're afraid of being told no. But the great thing about it is that when one door closes, another one opens. And I always realized that, especially when I was in college. So everyone who's sitting in here, this is a great time for you to exchange emails, get to know one another, and to keep this connection, because we don't know where we're going to be 5 years from now. You don't know if this person's going to be in the job field that you want to. So this is a great way for you to build networking opportunities. One more thing as well is that I think what used to hold me back as well from going forward was whenever I was presenting, I was nervous that people would know that I was nervous, or maybe I was confused on what I had to say. But the thing is, that was in my head. No one knows that you're nervous. No one knows that you're afraid. So when you go for it, and not saying be someone else, but be the best version of yourself in front of people, because I promise you, the results will be amazing, and you'll be so shocked about yourself. You're like, whoa, I did that. But yes, put yourself out there. It's so good.
Yeah, Lindsay just put in the chat to the LinkedIn. Nialise, if you haven't updated your LinkedIn or created one yet, definitely do so. The Career and Development Center on campus actually helps put them together for you. And you said you were in the political science department on campus. So if you look at the department website, look at all of the professors that are associated with that department, and make it a point to reach out to, ones that are teaching in the fields of political science that you find most interesting. See if you can get a one-on-one Zoom with maybe 3 or 4 each semester. The earlier you cultivate relationships with professors, the better letters of recommendation they can write later on. And then you'll also be at the back of their mind if research opportunities come up or internship opportunities come up, because of that proactive nature of reaching out to them first to set up that meeting. Carlos, what about you? Anything else that we haven't covered yet? Anything on the top of your mind?
No, everything was covered to me. Everything was good, especially that asking for help, because I really have a hard problem with that. That's my biggest flaw to this day right now, is asking for help, because I got that little independent. Like I don't want to ask nobody for nothing. Like, and that's really, really bad. So
well,
that
it
quote
seems
really,
like you're breaking it.
yeah, that quote opened my eyes a little, and that's just my biggest problem right now is asking for help. I get a lot of offers like from school and stuff. I just got that little mindset that just says, nah, I could do it on myself, do it by myself, and that's not the way.
So Carlos and Nailise seem to be like already like in like middle way through college. So Alana, Kai, and Lindsay, when you guys were like middle of your way through finishing your degrees, is there any last tips or strategies that you would share with Carlos and Nailise today?
I think it's really important just to drive home, like asking for help changes the game. Like in whatever realm you're having difficulties in, whether it be your mental health, your academic problems, or even like if you're having a difficult time, adjusting to the social climate of college, especially having everything moved online, I'm sure that there will be Zoom organization groups, and there's just so many opportunities to reach out to people and get to know people, and it really makes a difference. That changed my academic career and my personal development as well.
Thank you.
To piggyback off on that, like people love when you come to them for advice. Like it's like, oh my God, I get to help you. Like people actually love that. Another thing is like if you don't want to talk about things with people, I sometimes get like that. Journaling, like I know it sounds silly, but like I have this notebook full of like stuff I write, like stuff on my mind, and it just helps me. Like some people can just think to themselves and be fine, but I need to write it out or go for a walk and talk. So that also helps.
Those creative outlets are important. Yeah.
Cassie, I think that we are at a good time. No?
Let's I want Kai to share her last little bit, and then we can close up. Yeah. So Kai, take us home.
Just like to add on, but like also like reinforce, be patient with yourself. You have to move at your own speed. You can be your biggest critic sometimes. You can be your biggest rival. So I would say, take time to, tap into yourself, whether it's meditating, whether it's talking to yourself, whether it's singing your favorite song at an obnoxiously loud volume, just to, bring you back to reality, calm you down a bit. Just, keep at your own pace, be patient with yourself, don't quit. It's when things seem worse that you must not quit. Yes, just that.
Thanks, Kai. Great to end there. Thank you to everybody who, helped with this, Ladan and Laudina and Diane for putting this on. I think it was a great chat to have with all of you as students. I know as an advisor, I learned a lot. I hope, students all took something away too. So Laudina, if you would like to close us up.
I'd like to say a couple of things before you totally leave. And I really enjoyed this conversation because there were all kinds of interesting things that you brought up. And that is, that's so important for people in different generations to understand what the younger people are thinking about and going through. In my own case, I'm really interested in seeing that young people, particularly from those groups that used to be called minorities, but which are really becoming now the new majority, that those individuals, find what they can do and what they can do well, because more and more the society is going to be relying on them. I read someplace something like 1/3 of the workforce by 2040 is going to be Hispanic. So, if we want to have a good style of living, the Hispanic inventors have to join in. The Hispanic professionals have to join in. The Hispanic physicians and scientists have to do their thing. So I have a great deal of I would say, sureness about the intellectual abilities of most of the Hispanic students that I have met. the question is all of these other things, all of this other noise that comes and sort of takes you away from your goal. That's what one has to, and you use this word, a number of you use this word, navigate. Have to navigate through all of these other kinds of things that make you doubt yourself and that make you feel, well, perhaps this is not for me. And but I would say to you, yes, it is for you. One of the elements of your identity that you're picking up now as a college student is that you're going to be a college graduate. And that is actually, you know, like gender and race and ethnicity, being a college graduate makes for some differences in you. You're going to be thinking differently. You're going to have different kinds of values. You're going to approach problem solving in a very different way. You're also going to think of time in a different way. One of the things that people who study at college and who go on for graduate degrees and so on is that your range of time expands. You don't have to get your satisfaction tomorrow or right now. You're able to postpone your satisfaction for a year, for 2 years, sometimes for 4 years. So the sense of time is going to be very different, and that may be something that will might place some tension between you and the rest of your family who are not college graduates, and you should be aware of that. It's not so much the knowledge that you have, and it's not so much the money that you might be making, but it is this perspective that you develop that is different. So I'm really glad that we had this conversation. I wanted to mention something I just read today, that Facebook has developed a new Facebook, which is only for college students. And it's supposed to be mostly for networking. So you should find out how you can join that if you want to network with other college students, because it's not going to be available to people who are not in college. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the Hispanic Chamber is offering membership free of charge until the end of 2020. So if you want to join the Hispanic Chamber for the rest of 2020, all you have to do is go to our website or to our Facebook page. Just look for New York Capital Region Hispanic Chamber and get the application. You don't need to send any money. It's just to put the information. And then that way you are in, you know, you can say you're a member of the Hispanic Chamber. Also, you can join our various activities and be part of them, because I really look forward to seeing you again. This was really a terrific conversation, and I'm not going to say a good luck to you, because I hope to see you again. So I'm going to say hasta luego. We will be seeing each other. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cassie and Diane.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laude. Thanks, Ladan. This is a good opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.